I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
Well, good morning and good afternoon to you, Jimmy. But, Jimmy, we've finally done it. Listeners and people watching, you finally got what you asked for. The Jimmy and Lee show has arrived, Jimmy. We've made it. We've made it big time. Jimmy. Crowd's going wild already, Jimmy, I tell you. Huh?
I can't believe they left us alone, Lee.
I tell you. Can you?
It's like the two psychiatric nut jobs they let loose.
The lunatics are finally running the asylum, Jimmy.
I can't believe it.
Hey, I bet now if we had a camera in Dave's house, Sid's probably told Dave the show's starting today. I bet Dave's sitting there in a pool of sweat.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet you, as soon as this is over,
he's probably on some kind of volume.
Sid, what did they say? What did they do? Will I be losing the channel? Is this it? Is RXMuscle? Are we doomed?
He probably had half a bottle of wine in his annex by now. He's like, he probably was texting Sid. Did they start yet? What's going on? What happened?
Dave will be proud if we get the first show. If we get the first show monetized, he'll be proud of us, Jimmy. He'll be proud of us.
Well, now, I mean, we're going to try to keep it kind of a little bit under the,
and it's going to be very informative in all aspects because we're going to have people are wondering why I'm dressed like this because I do have this here. I got to put the certificate on the wall. I do have this. Look at that. I was ordained in 2019. That just proves that I'm an ordained minister. Just so people, I got the booklet. I can marry people, everything, and then because that's for the section.
Can you marry same sexes? Do you have a permit for that too, or is that
no? I have I have this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
I have that, and then I have this one too in case I need to pull. In case I need to pull that card.
Hey,
our bases are covered, and for our segment that we're going to have on, this is where people that are watching or even listening, we're going to have the section called the confessions, where you remain anonymous, but you're sending your confessions. You could be like back in the day, people would go to these after parties and stuff at contests. It's like you can confess that if you banged a famous pro bodybuilder girl, man, whatever, you can send it. But even just general stuff throughout your life. And I'm here to take your confessions. I might need a few more of these, Jimmy.
So
but
I got something to add to that. So really think about it. You go to you got the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
Which I went to when I was a kid, but. And you go in, and when you want to make confession, you go in some box, and you don't even see the motherfucker, right? So you go in the box, and you're talking to some shadow behind a screen, and he's like, "Tell me your sins, my son," and here you are pouring out your guts to a complete stranger, right? And
hold there, Jimmy. I got to knock at the door. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry about this. Hold on.
What the?
Don't
Is he serious?
I'll edit all this out. Don't worry about it.
No, maybe you should leave it in. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
it is the Lee and Jimmy show. Anything can happen. The two wackos. We're finally unleashed. I can't believe it that Dave actually agreed to unleash the two maniacs.
Hey, the best part is now, Jimmy. Now is for your solo. Here.
Sorry about that. Tell you, nothing happens all day.
Would you get would the postman come?
No, there's people laying pavers in the backyard.
Ah, so you had to go supervise it. for a minute.
I just had to let them in and just so they can go down because they thought the dogs were there, but the dogs have gone to a friend's place today so they can do the backyard without the dogs running around digging up the dirt.
Oh, they wouldn't attack the guys, right?
Nah, they're good. They're good. So
yeah, okay, because they got big now. You know, they were. I mean, I saw them when they were puppies. They got to be big now.
Oh, you ought to see them now. I'll have to get some video and photos of them. But now, what were you saying, Jimmy, about the
Oh no, so I was saying, you know, so my thing is, you know, so as a kid growing up, you know, I've done the confession box.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the priest sits here like this. If you're on that side, I'm here like this.
Right. Yeah.
And
you don't even really
son.
Right. Exactly. You don't even look fucking look. It's rude. So anyway, you know, he's standing behind this screen.
Jimmy, turn side on while you're talking to me, so we can pretend we're in the box.
What do you want me to do?
You got to turn side on like me. We're in the box. We're confessing.
Like this, you mean?
Thank you. Yeah, okay, go ahead, my son. Tell me. Tell me.
So anyway, my point is, it's you don't know who's behind the screen. I mean, it could be a flaming lunatic, a murderer. Who the hell knows? You know what I mean? He's a man.
A sexual predator. A sexual predator.
Yeah, it could be anybody. You know. So I figured, you know what? So when we discussed this show earlier, and you were mentioning confessions, I was like, what a great idea, because, you know, a lot of the fans know us kind of, you know.
Yeah.
And what better thing, you know, I mean, we can't forgive them. I mean, we don't have the power that God does that we can forgive their sins. But
Jimmy, I am a messenger from God. I work through God, so I can absolve them of some of their.
You're a man of God. That's right.
I'm a man of the cloth, Jimmy. A man of the cloth.
Right, man of the cloth. Right. So anyway, my point is, I mean, you know, it's really the confession thing is really just sharing the stories. You know, like we're going to share, they're going to share, and then we're going to talk about it, and maybe some people.
The crowd got excited again there for you, Jimmy. Sorry about
that. Did you go out and buy that thing special for the show?
No, I didn't actually. It's already.
So you had it in your office. I gotta get one of them. So when I come home, I can put the applause button on, because I live alone, right? So fuck it, I'll put the applause button on and have everybody clapping and cheer when I walk in the house.
every time you
do
home!
Something, he's home. I'll say, hi there, I'm here.
Every time you do something, you get acknowledgement for it when you do something.
Exactly. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a good therapy. You know, a nice uplift. You know, having an applauding machine. You know, everything. You know, you take a dump, you hit the applause button. You know, you get out of the shower, you hit the applause button.
When you look at yourself naked,
the alarm goes off. You get up on time for work. The applause button goes off.
Yeah. That's when you need it. That's when you need like the encouragement to keep going.
Yeah, I agree with it 100%. I agree. So
yeah,
anyway,
you get
what
out
I was
the
saying
shower,
was,
you look at yourself in the mirror.
Hit the applause
button. If you got out the shower and someone's like this, you'd be like, yeah,
100%. This is what I'm saying. It's like great mental. It's a great mental thing, you know. You sit down at the desk, you're paying all your bills. Instead of getting pissed off because you're paying all these fucking bills, you hit the applause button. Right?
You know what normally happens when I get out the shower, Jimmy?
I don't know. Oh my God, Lee.
Oh,
anyway, so the point I'm making is, I think it'd be great because people will share their dark secrets with us, and we're going to share too. We're not going to just leave them, you know, out on the limb. You know, we're going to share some of our sins too. You know, I sinned yesterday, but I'm not going to talk about that today. We'll talk about
and
it.
The thing
in a
is, too,
show.
We give them the choice too. They can remain anonymous, or they can give their name. They could even give a fake name, so we can just say a fake name. This is Tommy Smith, and he'll know who we're talking about.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, only me and you will be on the hook.
And sometimes people need to get it out this way. You know, we'll be serious too, because I'm sure there could be some serious confession. Someone could have cheated. They could have stole money from a family member. But
then they would have to use
talk about it, because you know sometimes people do stuff, and sometimes, like you said, they need to get it off their chest, but they got really sometimes no one to talk to, or if they got a friend to talk to, their friend might judge them. But we're not going to judge them. We're just going to read them out and just say, well, you're a dickhead or you're not a dickhead. It's sort of judging, Jimmy, but not really, because I've got the light of Jesus coming through me, so I've got to give nothing but positive energy.
So anyway, to touch on what you just said, yeah, we're not going to judge anybody. You know,
No.
we're going to be like two friends, you know, and when they're going to air their stuff out, they could use a fake name because if they cheated on their wife or whatever and they don't want it to be revealed, we totally understand that. But,
Yeah.
you know, we'll tell you how, you know, we feel about it as a friend. You know what I mean? Like, that's not cool, or what warranted that? Is she a bitch, or did she do did she lock you out of the fucking house in the middle of the winter and you froze your balls off? I mean, whatever it is, we'll elaborate with it.
It's like what drove you to that? Then it's going to be
right,
like,
exactly.
yes, we understand. We understand.
Right.
No one can make you do anything, but we can
Right.
just It's almost like you ever see that Bill Burr segment where he's like, he said, something about like there's never a reason to hit a woman, and someone yelled out in the audience, and he's like, now, come on, you're like, you shut the fuck up. You mean to tell me there's never a good reason to hit a woman? He goes, there's plenty of fucking reasons to hit a woman. He goes, but you just don't do it. But don't tell me there's no fucking reason. There's plenty of reasons, but you just don't do it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I've been hit by women in the past.
Oh.
And, that's a good reason to hit back, right? I mean, man, woman, what the fuck is the difference? If you hit me,
of course.
I got to hit you back. But anyway, make a long story short, I really don't do that. I mean, except for one time in a bar fight when that woman, whatever she was, she had hairy arms. And I told that story a long time ago on After Hours about that. I got set up on a blind date with my friend Lenny. I'll never forget it. Because he had his girlfriend. He's like, Jimmy, I was single at the time. And he's like, Jimmy, I got this great girl. She'd love you. We'll get dressed Saturday night. We're going to go out. I says, all right. Yeah, that sounds cool. I'm not really crazy about blind dates, but I was like, hey, all right, give it a shot. You know what I mean? Anyway, I went to my friend's apartment. His girl was there, and we were waiting for this other girl, Finally, she shows up, and she comes in, and she's like, looked like a fucking sumo wrestler, right? She had hairy, the hair was this high off her arms, right?
It was winter, Jimmy. It was winter time. It was winter.
She came walking downstairs into the apartment, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at Lenny like this, and I'm like, I'm like talking to him with my mind. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, Lenny? So she came in and I go, hi, how you doing? I gave her a kiss on her bearded face. Hey, how are you? I said, hey, I said, this guy must have, this must be a joke. He's doing this shit on purpose to me, to fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, make a long story short, we did go out that night. I had to do it. What was I going to do? I was already stuck, and I said I got sick later on. And
how far did you go, Jimmy? Come on. I'll get the confession beads out. How far did you go?
So, anyway, make a long story even shorter.
It's just you and me talking, Jimmy.
The girl really liked me. This is before the woke bullshit, the he, she, this is going back a long time ago. So anyway, I was out one night with another friend of mine at the bar, and a different bar. And we're at the bar, we're drinking. This place was called Garbo's. It was a real drinking hole. So we're at the bar, we're drinking, we're doing shots, And all of a sudden, a shot, I told the story, but I'll say it anyway. A shot glass came flying past my head, right? And I was like, I turned around. I said, what the fuck threw that shot glass? And then it was the fucking behemoth, right? So I said, holy shit. So I turn around. And I tell my friend Liz, I said, Liz, don't do me a favor. Don't turn around. She says, why? She was trying to. I said, don't turn around. I said, this is some blind date I went on. I never went back with it. And the girl was like infatuated with me. And I just never called her back. All of a sudden, another shot glass. And then another shot glass. So finally, we turned around. We had it.
Jimmy, she loved you. Look how bad you hurt her.
So this girl comes flying over to Liz, right? And Liz just turned around and just nailed her right in the jaw. Right? So the girl falls back. Now her boyfriend's jumped me. And listen, I'm not fucking Bruce Lee and nothing like that, but you know, I had a lot of strength back in the day, so I was able to wrestle these guys around. I had one of my, I looked like fucking Samson and Delilah. I had like lions were on me. I had one guy on my back, one guy was under my feet. I had another guy I was hitting him in the head like this. It was a nightmare. So anyway,
Jimmy,
we ended up.
you know what you needed, Jimmy. You know what you needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I needed. That probably would have happened to me. So anyway, make a long story short, that we left. You know, we wanted to get out of the bar. The bar was going crazy. We get outside, and the girl comes out flying out of the front door, jumps on my back like an animal. Right. So I was running through the parking lot with this behemoth on my back, you know. So I finally get over to a parked car and I flipped, you know. So she was on my back. She was like biting me and so I turned around, I flipped, and I got her on the hood of the car. You know, then I grabbed her by the hand. I was holding her hair down because
sexual, Jimmy, huh?
so all my friends were outside. They would cheer me on and shit. All I did was holding her down because she was an animal. So finally, everybody came out. They grabbed it. And, you know, I got Liz and we got out of here. That was a fucking nightmare, that story. Anyway, so back to the confessions. You know, I think it's a great idea that we do that. And of course, we're going to have many other subjects. You know, we're going to talk about. You know, I like to talk about training.
We're going to cover everything: training, even nutrition, bodybuilding. We'll have guests on occasionally. Not like that fucking. Oh shit! I said fucking. We might got demonetized. Not like that other show that's like the retarded. I can say that word because I'm retarded. Like the retarded Brady Bunch. You know that show that's on this channel. You know, it's like, you know. We're not going to have that many guests on, if you know what I mean.
No, so we're going to keep it simple. You know, I think we should talk, you know, discuss training. Now, you know, I'm a power guy. You were one of the greatest bodybuilders in the world, so some of our training techniques are a little different. So we can elaborate
I'm quiet,
on that.
Jimmy screams.
Huh?
I'm nice and quiet when I train. Jimmy screams.
Yeah. Like we have different methods, but I think it's a nice mix, you know, because I always looked like a bodybuilder, but I wasn't. But you know, you were the best in the world, and I think it's a nice combination to share some of the training tech. A nutrition that probably had to fall more on you, because me, I was a cheeseburger hot dog guy.
Come on, I eat hot dogs. I eat hot dogs too, Jimmy. But the thing is, when it comes to nutrition, we're not going to be like those other shitty fucking podcasts. Sorry, I swore again, but I can't help myself. We're not going to be like those other podcasts. Like, we'll come on here, we'll eat real food while we're doing the show. Hot dogs, Kentucky. Yeah, Jimmy and I, we eat steak and vegetables, but we're not like these people who come on and they're like, this is all I ever eat is rice and chicken and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm so dedicated. Piss off, dickhead. We're real people. We train. We eat normal food. Yes, we eat healthy food when we had to, but we're not going to come on here and preach like those idiots, even though I can preach because I'm qualified. We're not going to preach. We're not going to preach about you got to have this many meals and watch the fat on this. I say, you know what? If you want fat, go eat fat. Go all out. That's what I say, Jimmy.
I got to say, I mean, the nutrition part definitely falls under the bodybuilding category because you have to condition your body to you got to get your skin like cellophane paper almost.
Well, especially, that's mainly for contests. So you got to get down. That's a special diet. But I'm meaning like even off season. Like off season, I used to get really heavy. People go, "Why do you do that?" I like eating. I'm not competing, so why not enjoy food? Why be miserable like your whole year? I got to eat chicken and rice. You go out to a restaurant and you see the beautiful menu and you go, "Oh, can I have chicken and rice?" You could have stayed home to had that. You know, in the off season, live a little, eat real food. You're a real person. Enjoy your life. Don't be like on this strict diet 24/7, unless you got some medical problem and stuff like that. Because it's like I say too, when people say you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you can't. Some people can. Everyone's body's different. Everyone's metabolism's different. Some people do have to have smaller carbs, and some people can eat. Like I dieted on the lowest 250 grams of carbs, and I got shredded. I probably could have gone more, but some people go that high. So it's like you can't just say you need to eat this, you need to eat that. Here's a rough guide of good foods and bad foods. Now you work out how much you can have of each, because I can't tell you. I don't know your body, so you've got to work that out. And it's not rocket science. We know what good foods are and bad foods are. It's just that the bad foods, well, they're not really bad. They taste a lot better, don't they, Jimmy?
Yes, they do. So touching on that, I think you're right, and I think training also falls under that category. So, you know, maybe when I do something like power curls, you know, or something, that might not be good for, you know, Frank.
Well, even for me,
you know what I mean?
even for me, and I've always said that too, because I'm sure you get questions, and they always say, probably, Jimmy, what's the best for chest, or Lee, what's the best for biceps? Now, I could say my best was barbell curl, but Jimmy, you might say, actually, Lee, I find dumbbells, I get a better squeeze on dumbbells. So if you get a better squeeze and you feel dumbbell, you do that. Don't just do barbell because I do barbell and I have big arms. Like I said, with the diet training, everyone's an individual. So you got to work out what is best for you. And there's never one thing too. People go, Lee, should I do machines or free weights? I say do a combination of both. You need that balance. People say, is bench press better than this? I say, why just do bench? If you do bench, why not do dumbbells? Like, there is no one thing that's like, this is the best program. If you train this way, eat this way, you're going to look like this. You've got to work out what works for you. Like, I look at people's programs in the magazines and go, oh, that looks good, I'll try it. But then halfway through, I don't really feel this exercise. I feel this one more. So you've got to find, you know, what, when it comes to food or exercises, what one's best for your body.
You know, I always thought, like, you know, I trained, you know, like you, we trained for years and years, and we trained with professional people, you know, all over the earth. And I rubbed elbows with a lot of people. So did you. So, you know, we interacted with a lot of different people, you know, that train and different exercises and stuff like that. And it doesn't work for everybody. You know what I mean? So I always tell people, listen, man, you should always do the basics, you know, and then you have offshoots of the basic. Like, you know, maybe you want to do flat benching, that's fine, but maybe incline works better, or pec deck, you throw the cable. You know, you got to find your own niche. And then also, your body type is different. You're not gonna, you know, everyone's not gonna look like Lee Priest. Everyone's not gonna have the strength that Jimmy the Bull had, but you got to find your way. So you got to train in an expansive horizon and find what works for you, right? And then you know, when I used to teach people how to kick years ago, right? And not everybody could be, you know,
maybe on another show, Jimmy, when you're warmed up on another show, you'll be able to demonstrate that kick for people.
I could do that. Yeah, I could.
I want you to just go out on the street, find a random person, and kick him in the fucking ribs.
Well, if there's alcohol involved, yeah, probably I could do that. So anyway, so I mean, so what I'm trying to say is, along with the training, you know, I used to teach kicking. So I used to do roundhouses and, you know, front snap kicks and crescent kicks and all this spinning back kicks and all this shit, you know. But that doesn't work for everybody. So I used to take the guy, and I used to show him how to do like 4 or 5 different kicks: a roundhouse, a front snap kick, a wheel kick, you know, all these, you know, step inside kick, you know. He wasn't good at all of them, but I noticed that he was good at like 1 or 2, you know. So then I would say, hey, listen, man, forget about all those other kicks. I said, you're pretty good at these 2 kicks. Let's get these down. Let's get these strong. And that's what we did. And I think the training is the same way. I think you should, you know, try an array of stuff, you know, cheetah curls, no cheetah, strict, not strict, you know, and we'll just find out what works for you, you know, skull crushes, kickbacks, cables.
It's the same like even with posing, because I see so many people go, Lee, I love this myth pose you do, and I love this. It's like, you know, because they see their favorite bodybuilder do a pose and they're like, that looks good on Lee. Wobbling the leg on Tom Platz, that looks good. I'm going to put that in my routine. But if you don't have the arms or you don't have the legs, you don't do those poses, even though they look good on somebody else. So like you said, when it comes to posing, you got to have somebody watch, or even look in the mirror, especially if somebody watch, because sometimes if you do a pose and you're twisting, you can't see. So you've got to come down to the poses. Yes, you might love this pose that I do and somebody else does, but on you, it could look bad. So you got to find the right poses that show off your body the best, because some of my poses could make you look like a fool. And it's like, Jesus, he's got a leg like this and he's trying to wobble it. I hope he doesn't, you know, hurt his kneecap or something, because he might throw it out. So it's like all of that. That's why I always say when people are like, what's the best? Like, everyone's looking for this secret program or secret cycle where if I just find this one thing, if you tell me, Jimmy, what to do, that's all I need, and I'm going to become super strong if I just did what you do exactly. It's like, it doesn't happen like that.
That's why I used to like when I was a kid, I used to look at the magazines. And this is the funny thing. So
Yeah.
before I really got into the sport, I used to read the, Iron Man, all those old magazines, Flex, and I used to see when I used to do photo shoots, the pro bodybuilders,
Yeah.
they'd be like, when they were doing curls, they'd be sitting in an inclined bench
Yeah.
straight up, and then they'd be going like this, with the dumbbell, right? And, whatever it is, like, right? So like
it's more like this. I remember it perfectly with Chris Lund. I'd be sitting in the chair like this. I got the dumbbell. He'd say, "Look at the camera, Lee." Then I do this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Oh.
So anyway, touching on that, then when I finally ended up in Gold's Gym in California, years later, thanks to Jimmy Quinn, that's the reason why I went out there. He moved there and he was my trainer partner for years. So I missed him and I went out there and I trained in that gym. So anyway, I'm looking at the pro bodies in there and I'm watching these guys train. And I said, wait a minute, he's not doing what he did in the fucking magazine. He's throwing that fucking weight. He's throwing that weight around, man. I said, look at the way he's benching. He's bouncing the fucking. I said, nothing looks strict in this fucking place at all. Everything in the magazine was like a false advertisement. Like everybody's strict and this and that. All that shit. Strict is, Anyway, listen, I believe in. You could go. So my theory was, and we'll touch on these in later shows, but. Because I want to share with the people, how we really train. But I think, like you said, I used to do free weight, and then I used to end up with some machines. I can't fit in machines. I like even now if I go to LA Fitness over there, I can't get in the machines. It's just my body type. I can't move, so I can't. So I got to stick with free weight.
I can picture you in that hip thrusting machine, Jimmy, thrusting your hips up, working.
I watch the ladies do that. So anyway, so make a long story short, I believe that like we were talking about, what works for you is what you go for, and I always did, a pyramid system. I warmed up, I went heavy as fuck, and then I did a couple of steps back down with high repetitions, and then I would throw a machine on the end, you know what I mean? So I always did that, like that kind of workout, and I used to bench on the Smith machine. A lot of guys don't like that, but I used to go back and forth, the free weight Smith machine. 1 week the Smith machine, because I used to load the balls off it, have a guy spot me because I felt safe on the Smith machine because I didn't have all this shit going on. So I would load it up to beyond belief, and my friend would spot me and I would just to build the power, and then the following week I go on the free weight, and I would so I had like different techniques going on, but I like to share that with you.
You need that. And also I've come up with an idea, Jimmy, because when we do all the other shows, I remember Jimmy would always come on and go, Dave, before we get going, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. And you tell a story about you driving the shit truck and the brakes fail, or this happened or that happened. So we're going to have a segment on here called You Wouldn't Believe. And this is where people can, as we go further too, we're going to do like a live show here so we can take questions off YouTube straight away. But the You Wouldn't Believe segment is going to be for stuff like that, whether something crazy happened to you at work, at home, you're just out minding your own business and someone just come off and started going nuts at you. So the You Wouldn't Believe section is for like crazy stories that just something happened to you just on your daily thing. Like with Jimmy, Jimmy's just driving the truck all of a sudden. Fuck, no brakes. He sees the car's coming and he's trying to swerve, and now the sweat's coming down. He goes to blow the horn. The horn doesn't work on the shitty truck. Now there's smoke coming out. The brakes are gone.
No fire extinguisher.
Exactly like that. So
I tell you, if I had a camera in the truck today, it would have been epic today. But fucking 100 degrees out.
Something already happened to you today that could go into you wouldn't
absolutely,
believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So also we discussed, me and you on our show, if it lasts, and if it's popular, and we don't get trashed. I'm thinking that we'll have special guests on. We talked to Sid about this. We'll have special known guests on once in a while, and then I'd like to. I don't know how Sid feels about it, but me and you spoke about it. We'd like to have like random fans come on the show, and bullshit with us, and I think that
tell us their life story. We'll
get them on the show, and we could all interact together like we're all drinking buddies and just bullshit and shoot a fat. I think that would be fantastic. I think the people would like that instead of just
like what they do for work. What they do for work, what their family life's like and see how, because people out there, it's like, we tell our crazy stories, and, there's a lot of people out there who think they're the only ones. But if we get real people on and they tell their stories, they'll be like, shit, there's people like me out there. And there can be stories like heartfelt stories, an inspiring story. It might be a sad story because, sad as things are, when I've talked about suicide before, I've got lots of messages from people saying, Lee, I've been through that. Oh, I didn't know you went through that. And I start talking to them like that. And I've had plenty of people write back, people I've forgotten about, they write back, oh, remember you spoke to me that time and I talked to you. You saved my life. I was going to kill myself. I'm glad I didn't. Now I'm married. I got a kid and all this sort of stuff. So, we come on here, we joke around and stuff, but sometimes you do impact people just by talking and stuff like that.
So, Father, what I want to ask you is,
yes, my son.
I totally agree with that. See, like when I did those 3 episodes with Leslie on Mental Iron, I got a lot of texts, from people relating to all the shit I went through in my life, and there was a lot more, but I didn't elaborate. But and so people would some people wrote some beautiful. I'm gonna call them letters. They weren't texts. They were like, what I mean? They were like, it took me 10 minutes to read it, but sometimes I read it twice because it was so touching to me. One guy wrote in, he said he never writes into the threads, never, but being that I did that show and I was talking about all the shit that happened to me, he felt compelled to write me, and it was amazing. Listen, we're all fucking human beings, no matter how you cut it. I don't give a fuck who we are. We get up in the morning, we shower, we shit, we shave, we get ready to go to work. Right? We're all doing the same fucking thing. So I think it's great that we share stories with people and people share stories with us.
Even though I'm not sponsored with them anymore, but if you do need the shit, there's a nice little plug.
And I know I did the commercial.
Jimmy and I can swear by this product.
I still use it.
So
that's the point I'm making. The point is, I think it'd be great to have the fans on and share stories, and we'll do a segment.
I think it's good too, because I'm not coming down on women, but every time I see commercials, it's for women. It's this, it's that. Domestic violence, it's always for the women on TV. It's always coming down on the man. Look, I know men do bad things.
Tell me about it.
So do women. Women are an innocent party here too. I've had a lot of friends like you, Jimmy, where the women treat them like shit, but you stick through there. You never lay a hand on them. You get through it. And then there's the ones where I've got a friend now, because she hates him, keeps the kids from him. And now, like, kids are the innocent party here. Yeah. Why put kids in the middle? If she cheated or you cheated, you can hate each other's guts. The kids have nothing to do with that. The only one you're hurting by not letting the parents see the child is the child. Now, granted, if the partner on either side is abusive or on the drugs, sure, definitely, then for the best interest of the child, you don't let the child go see that parent until they get their act together. But if they're a loving parent that loves their child, takes care of them, it's wrong to do that. And so many men, I've even known men that commit suicide because their exes or whoever just put them through the ringer that bad with courts and alimony and this and that. They end up killing themselves. And
in prison, man, because of that.
And I just think sometimes there aren't enough outlets for actually men to say their piece and stuff like that, because as soon as you do, it's like, oh, you're coming down on women, or you shouldn't be that way, or back in the old days, it was just men were hard the fuck up. You just cop it on the chin. You don't show your emotions and stuff like that. No, I'm not saying you got to be all like a girly girl man. Not that I'm coming down on girly girl men, but you don't have to be a pussy. You can still be a man. I think it's more of a man if you can show your emotions and talk about it and be real rather than keep it bottled in. Because if you keep it bottled in, you're either going to hurt yourself and shit and just make yourself miserable, or then sometimes you bottle in so much, you might just be out in public one day and someone says the wrong thing, and all those years of what she's done to you or someone's done to you, you snap at them. They're like, shit, I only said that. Yeah, it's not what you said. It's all these years that I've been everything else. I'm taking all that out on you. So
you're like a fucking steam pipe.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, like you said, I used to, when I was married, I'm not going to say my marriage was all bad. The beginning was great, but towards the end, they started getting a little shitty, And so, my wife, she was a little violent, I don't know why. Maybe the frustration of she really didn't want to be with me anymore, and then, so anything you did, she hated you. So, so one time she hit me with a telephone. She took it and just cracked me on the head. I had this lump on my, a knot, So I said, that's it. I said, now I'm drawing the line. Because it's not the first time that happened. But anyway, make a long story short, I went down to the precinct. I was going to make a report. I was going to get a restraining order. I couldn't take it anymore. So I go down there, and I sat with the two detectives, and I said, I want to press charges on my wife. I said, look at the fucking knot on my head. So the guy looks at me, he goes, oh, what's the matter?
Yeah.
He goes, you can't take a little hit with the phone. You got a little lump on your head. I looked at the cop. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? I just got hit with a fucking phone, man. Look at the knot over here. Look at it. He's like, oh, come on. Yeah, right. This is what I'm saying.
On her head.
Right. So, I got so mad. I got up. I said, you know what? Fuck you guys, man. I got up. I walked out of the fucking precinct. I was like, I can't win. This is a losing battle, man.
I had an ex-girlfriend, same sort of thing. This was before I was due to go to the universe almost. Had a girlfriend. I was up helping a friend at a contest. So we're in the hotel. My friend's in a room. I'm in my room with the girlfriend. It became a fiance before. It was my fiance. And just we had a bit of an argument. And I thought it was over. I turned around, whack, punched me fair square in the eye, cut me open.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could have snapped back. I went, no, fuck it. That's it. I called the front desk and said, listen, girlfriend's just abused me. I need security to come up and do a report because whatever.
Right.
They were like, okay. It took forever to come up. But then I thought, you know what? No, I'll call the police. So I called the police as well. Took forever. And I was going to make her leave the room. And I thought, no, I'm not going to be an arsehole. She has nowhere to go. So because my friend was there, I said, look, you stay in the room. I'm leaving. I'm going to stay with my friends. 2:00 in the morning. Opened the door. This police woman and somebody else. Lady Preacher, I said, yeah, we need to talk to you about the assault. And they said, yeah, okay, good. So they come in and say, so what happened? I went to tell them. I said, well, she hit me. She goes, I said, what do you mean? I said, I got the cut here. I had all the photos. I said, so this is what happened. They go, we know what happened. I said, what do you mean you know what happened? We got her story. I said, okay, but now you need mine. No, we don't need yours. Then it'll just be hearsay, your story, her story. I said, well, you don't need my side. So it ended up, I had to go to court 3 times in another state. Cost me $8,000. But from the very next day, she's like, I had text messages. I'm sorry I did that. I was just angry and blah, blah, blah. And in the end, I had so many messages. I was going overseas. I want to come with you. You've always been great to me and my kids, because she had kids and that. We'll put it this way, ended up being thrown out of court. But even with all this evidence, this police woman that was up in the other state, she goes, I don't care if she even drops this case. I'm still coming after you. I'm like, what? Because I've got muscles and tattoos. I'm the bad guy. I was like,
listen, I told this story before. I don't want to get into the whole, husband battered stories, but there's a lot of husbands out there that are battered, man. But we don't get recognized. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I said, because all these commercials on TV are for battered women, domestic against women.
Yeah, that the fucking men get battered too.
And it's like
man.
you, Jimmy, because that one thing happened to you, the cop starts laughing at you. I'm sure there'll be a ton of men who get abused but never report it for that reason. It's
absolutely. This is back when I was in my 30s, man. I was fucking huge. So, when I went down to the precinct, the guy was looking at me like, this guy's kidding me, right? His little 110-pound wife hit him with a phone. He's complaining.
But isn't this true, Jimmy? And sometimes people don't believe it. You get crazy people who are just nuts, or somebody on drugs nuts, or you even get a little girl who's 110 pounds going nuts. And if you're just trying to defend yourself, they can do plenty of damage. People go, oh, what could that person do? I've seen, I used to go on ride-alongs, and I'd see little people just crazy on drugs or just crazy. And it'll take sometimes 4 or 5 grown men to subdue this person, because they just get that crazy, nutty strength where they're just out there. And like I said, and because you're trying to control them, you're trying to do it in a way you're not hurting them. And then it becomes... Right. You can't. It's like you can't always be soft.
I'll be honest with you. I think we get more hurt trying to restrain a person, because back in the day when I bounced and if a guy lost his mind and I didn't want to beat him up, so I tried to restrain him. This is in the topless bars, of course. So I tried to restrain the guy. And, he's swinging and he hit me in the jaw and he's kicking me in the balls and I'm trying to hold him.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing more damage to myself trying to hold this little prick.
Exactly.
I should have just knocked him the fuck out, put him on the floor, you know what I mean? But because I was restraining, and the same thing goes for like a man that wants to restrain a woman. The same thing happens. You try to restrain a woman and she's scratching you and kicking you and you're trying to hold her because you don't want to hit her and you're getting all fucked up. I mean, it happens, man. It happens a lot, so.
Yeah, so I think this show's going to be, like I said, this is going to be a show where, like we said, it's going to have laughter, comedy. I'm sure with different stories, there'll be tears involved also, but it's going to be a show just where we, like I said, we cover all aspects of life in general. It could be like the Jimmy and Lee life show. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. You know, like I said, we'll you know, if we can, I don't know if Sid, you know, is on the same page with us, but I'd like to get fans on once in a while to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Skype in, you know, and chat with us and share their
Mm-hmm.
stories and stuff, you know. And then I want
Well,
to,
like
you
I
know,
said, they can. Well, we've said, like, we're going to, I said, I saw when we put this on Instagram or Facebook, wherever we advertise, people will be able to send messages, or not sure if we've got even an email address, but if they can send something, they can, and we'll read them. And like I said, we'll pick it that way. If someone's got a really good story, we'll get them on the show. It doesn't mean it have to be outlandish, or it might even be like, when I say great story, it's not like we're looking for the, oh, this is going to shock everyone. Even just a nice story where someone's done something nice for you, and how, because, you know, we've all had those days where you're in a shit mood. It happened to me the other day. I wasn't in a shit mood. I was at
or
a
even a success story, like if somebody, you know,
like
came
you might
from
have,
breaks. Right, we want to
you
hear
might be
about
from a broken home. You had abusive parents. Maybe you got on the streets and on drugs, but you turned your life around, and now you're successful. You
I
got a
like
family
stories
and
like
job.
that. I love stories like that.
And that's what I think we need more of, because really, when you look at the media, because we're getting the politics too, because the media right now with the whole Trump, Biden, all this shit, the media dividing people over race, it's like we become so angry and negative because the news makes you that way. I've noticed sometimes, the very rare occasion, they'll put a nice story on, like the other day, some old guy who couldn't walk, he went in somewhere and his mobile scooter was stolen, and he's like in his 80s, he can't afford a new one. Someone saw the story, brought him a new mobile. Yeah, like they brought him a new
How do you
mobile
steal a
scooter.
motorized scooter on the poor fucking guy? I mean, that's low.
I know, so, like, you know, I'm thinking there should be shows.
Wait a minute, so
where
what happened? He got his scooter stolen. What happened?
one of the people that watched TV found out who he was and that, and went out and brought him a better one and stuff. So things like that, because, like, you know, because you're like me, I'm sure when you watch the news and that, you're like, these fucking politicians or this and that. It's like, I know, but you get angry, like, you know, then you go out somewhere, like we're bombarded with so much crap.
I get angry in 5
not
minutes.
Like this show. This show is not crap. This is a good show, but, you know, you just get so, like, you're on edge, like you just think of the world, everyone's out to get everyone, whether it's race, religion, countries fighting, that when you do finally see nice stories, or sometimes I posted that thing on Instagram yesterday where that chimp was like an experimental chimp where it's just been in a laboratory its whole life. If you watch the video, it shows this chimpanzee the first time it's coming out and seeing the sky and outside, and it's just there like this, looking at the sky. It's the first time it touched grass, and it's just like, you see these good stories, they make you feel good. So I think we need to put out a few more good stories to make people feel good, because we get bombarded with the negativity, the shit, the hate, the bullshit, wars, people disliking each other just because they've got a different skin.
Lee, you imagine if they actually had a news station that was just all good fucking news, you know, like no bad news, no, just like you tune in and it's just great story after great story after great, you know, people doing great things happening, you know.
And that's the thing, it makes you feel good when you see, like,
about uplifting the fucking people, not putting fear in everybody. That's what the media
does.
That's
where I want to put a thing out there. Yeah, I want to put a thing out there too, because I do this and it's easier to do. Sometimes when I'm going through McDonald's, if I'm okay, I think I got a little bit extra money in the bank. Maybe it's just something small if I'm in McDonald's or at the grocery store. But I did this the other day. I'm at McDonald's going through the drive-through, get my breakfast. I paid for mine. I saw the person behind me, looked like a work truck. The guy's going to work. I said, I'll pay for his too. I think he only had a coffee and a bagel or something about that. But, you know, if I was that guy, because someone's done it to me before, and you go to pay and someone goes, I already took care of it. You're like, you could be having the shittiest day or anything. You go, oh, it's almost like I got faith in people again. Someone did something nice. So that's what we want people out there to do. Pay it forward. It doesn't have to be something huge. It might be just, I always find too, sometimes just saying hello to someone, giving them a smile can change their day, because now everyone's in their phones or all blah, blah, blah. Sometimes when someone looks at you and smiles and says hello, you're like, what the fuck are you saying hello to me for, cunt? I don't fucking know you. It's like, that's how we're becoming.
I have a little story I want to share. So the other day, I go to 7-Eleven every morning. I get a coffee and a glazed donut. That's what I do every morning, right? So I was in a hurry. I was a little late, not too late, but I ran in and I made my coffee. I grabbed my donut, and then I went to the counter, and there was this guy at the counter, right? Big guy, beard, young guy, and he was using his card on the machine, and it kept going like it wasn't working. Then he used the other machine. They have like two machines at the 7-Eleven. He was going back and forward, back. So finally I said, "Excuse me," I just put his stuff on mine. So I scanned my card and I bought his stuff. And he looked at me like, and he says, "Thank you so much." He goes, I don't know what to say." I said, "Nah, don't worry about it, brother." I said, "You have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the day."
He feels
And
good. You feel good.
I felt good. He felt great because some
Well,
total
the same
stranger
thing,
just
similar
bought his shit.
happened. Similar happened to me the other day. I went to the garage early in the morning. I was filling up petrol. There was just another woman there. The guy just started his shift or whatever, so I guess things weren't working. I go in to pay, and the fucking tap machine, same thing's not working. And we're waiting. The petrol was coming out slow because it hadn't warmed up. And this woman, she just wanted a nice coffee. She was behind me. She's like, "I've only got a card." And the card thing, 10 minutes goes by, still not working. I had cash. I said, "Here, I'll pay for my petrol and whatever her coffee." She's like, "No, it's okay." I said, "No." I said, "The card thing's not working. You could be here for a while." So I just had the cash there. So I paid for her iced coffee. And you would have swore that I brought this woman a brand new fucking car. I was just paying for a nice coffee. Like, she was so over the moon. So people, when you're watching, do something nice for someone.
Listen, man, you wouldn't think so, but I'm not saying all people. Some people are just ungrateful, no matter what, But
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people
But I think
do.
too, but even those people who are ungrateful, they're the type too where, like we talked about, you can get to that place, like I said, just by people watching the news, watching negativity on social media, that you almost talk yourself into everybody's like that. So I don't want to be bothered with the world. So you almost become like the Scrooge on the Christmas Carol, where you're just like, bah, humbug and that. But if you keep persisting and be nice, they'll eventually come around. If you, I said it before, I'll say hello to someone. I'll see him a day or two later walking again. "Good morning." And after a while, like, "Good morning." They're like, "Oh, good morning." It's like, I'll break him down, Jimmy. I'll break him down.
kill him with kindness.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just going to say good morning to this fucker, so he stops saying good morning to me.
Some people don't even say good morning. Like, I'll say good morning to somebody and they'll just keep walking by, and I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna get pissed off about it. Maybe the guy's having a bad moment or something. But yeah, I like to do nice things for people a lot of times. I'm a nice person. I mean, I have a little bit of a streak in me that some people could bring out. But
we all do. Jimmy.
I like to do it. Listen, I give people a shirt off my back. I don't have much. I'm a blue collar laborer guy. So I make money. I support myself, but sometimes I give stuff away to people. I mean, because it's just me, and I like to give.
I do the
It
same
gives
thing.
me, yeah. And when I do give, I don't boast about it to my friends. "Oh, I gave this guy." I just do it. Makes me happy. And it makes
that's
the
the thing,
person
like I
happy.
said, and like I said, even because they said we have these days where, like, those days you've been driving the truck shit, you've had enough, everything's going wrong. Now imagine you're in that mood where fuck this, fuck that, and you do, like, I got to stop and go get a drink. Now imagine you're all worked up and you go get your coffee and donut and you're fumbling around, you can't find something. Someone goes, "Let me take care of that for you." Now, all that anger you had, if someone brought your coffee and donut, you'd be like, "That's really nice." Your whole day would change just from that one little act of kindness.
It diffuses it. One time I was stuck. I was getting onto the BQE. We were in the trucks, and this other guy was in the truck, and we were trying to squeeze, bottleneck. New York is crazy with the traffic, so I'm trying to squeeze in. He was not letting me in, so I got up close to him where we could see each other in the window, and he's giving me like the mean look because I'm trying to squeeze in. So I look at him, I go like this. I'm going like this, please, please. And all of a sudden he looked at me, started laughing, and he rolled his window down. He goes, "Yo, brother," he goes, "I was trying to put the mean look on." He goes, "But when you did that," he goes, I just started laughing. He let me in. Just shit like that.
Like,
I mean,
well, even speaking of that, how many times do you, like I said, we can't always put our project on other people, but I'm always one, I'll let somebody in. You go, I go, you go, I go. And I see these people just block people out. Now, when I let somebody in, when everyone ever lets me in, even if I've got right away, they let me in, I always give them just friendly wave.
Absolutely.
Right. I don't know about you, but when I let somebody in, they don't wave, I'm like, "You're fucking welcome." I
I
get
mean,
angry.
I'll
But
do that too.
if they go like that, if they wave to me, I'm like, oh, that's nice, and I'm all happy. So little
That happened to
actions.
me. That happened to me today. So I'm coming down the road with the trailer, and it was all cars behind me. We're coming to a light. There was cars in front of me, so she was in the driveway, right? So I stopped my trailer just before the driveway to let her out, you know, because if I would have went, she would have been there another half hour waiting for all the cars, right? So here she comes. She rolls out, and she actually made a left. She had to go around that way, so she had to wait for the other cars, you know. And she just goes, and it just takes off, you know. And I'm looking at her going, you know, I'm like, you know, I didn't have to let you in, you know what I mean? But you know, whatever, you know, enjoy your day. But you know, I wanted to curse her out, but I didn't, you know. But anyway, so you know, I want to touch on a lot of subjects on this show that,
Yeah.
you know, when you know, when I'm on the other shows, except for Iron Rage, like after hours, and I'm not saying anything about after hours. I pop in and out of there anyway, but you know, you know, I don't get a chance to really talk a lot. We used to, but you know, now we have a lot of people on the show, so I can't, you know, I can't talk as much, you know what I mean? And I don't want to be rude because other guys are talking, so you know, I'll stay quiet because you know, I don't want to be cutting everybody off.
And if you
know?
talk too loud, you might wake up Armand, who's sleeping half the time.
So I mean, the only time I really, you know, bust into Dave's show on After Hours is when I'm in a rage. You know, I come in, I don't give a fuck. You know, I just start, you know. And
Well,
I think Dave loves when I do that.
Jimmy.
You know,
We have our own place to rage and listen to stories and have news
and
stories.
listen, I'm not, you know, I did. Listen, I'm still going to be on After Hours. I mean, Dave sends me the link every week, but
yeah.
I work and it's very hard at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I get the link. Sometimes I just can't do it. I'm in the middle of coming down 95.
I think this is good because people always like you and me, but now they'll have a place where they can come just to hear Jimmy and Lee and us answer their personal questions or queries and talk to them. So
I think it's good because now they can bounce around. They could go to Iron Rage, they could go After Hours, they could go to the Lee and Jimmy show, and you know, they could get a nice variety, you know, and pick and choose what they want.
I think people might be surprised because they see me as a jokester, swearing and rude and stuff. They see Jimmy's angry now, but I think people might actually get surprised that Jimmy and Lee are pretty normal. Well, we're a little fucked up, but we're pretty normal and caring people who are here to listen to your story. So, like, this is our first show now, and we've almost gone an hour already, or maybe a little bit over. So, I didn't want to go too long on our first show today, but just what it's an introduction show. We've talked about what the show is pretty much going to be like, or even if any of you listeners have any ideas and that for different topics that we can touch on.
Hey,
but
we want feedback. We want feedback. Yeah. We want to.
Oh, we'll get feedback. We'll get feedback. You two fucking suck. Shut up.
No, we'll get a phone call from.
But
Dave
there's
tomorrow.
people like that too, Jimmy. I'd love to have a hater on because I'd like to ask the haters. I'd like to have a proper hater on, to someone that's abused us or whatever. Yeah, but I'd like to know. It's like, because like I said, there's things I hate, there's things you hate, and I'm sure whoever it is or whatever it is.
I wouldn't use the word hate. I would use dislike. You know, hate is a strong word.
Let's just say there's people sporting things that, let's say tennis. Do you like tennis, Jimmy?
I mean, I don't dislike it. I could.
Well, what sport do you hate? Give me a sport you hate or dislike.
I don't like baseball.
Now, like,
and I'll tell you why I don't like baseball. Because,
but hold on, but you wouldn't do this though. You wouldn't go, okay, I dislike baseball, but hold on, Rodriguez, you suck. You couldn't hit a ball for dog shit. You motherfucker. It's like,
I couldn't.
You know, if you don't like it, you're not going to follow it and abuse them. So I'd really like to know the psyche of people that don't like us, but they watch us and abuse us, because you need to get a life and do something else if you don't like someone and you're just talking shit about them the whole time.
You know, I'm not really a sports guy. That's me. You know, I won't sit down and watch a football. I mean, I have family, my cousins, they used to go nuts with the Jets were playing and they just screaming in the house. You know?
I'll get a topic you like then, Jimmy. Porn. Let's just say you're watching porn.
Porn's a good sport.
There's bukkake, there's anal, there's threesomes, there's gangbangs, and this and that. Now, there might be a section in that big long selection of sections. Would you go, I don't like that section. Hold on, let me go on there. You can't take double penetration for shit. You really suck at this. It's like,
let's not go there, Lee. But you know, I got to say, so you know,
show,
I definitely, yeah. I want to touch on, you know, a lot of stuff that's going on today too. You know, now the government's saying that aliens do exist. And I want to talk about, not now, but in the future, like my opinion on why the oceans in New York right now are almost 80 degrees, way ahead of schedule.
And isn't it funny too? You just touched on the UFOs. Isn't it funny now that I think because we're being conditioned by movies and everything else, now that they're coming out saying they do exist, we do have alien dead bodies.
They said it on the news the other night.
Yeah, but people are like, whatever. It's like, it's not even, people don't even care. It's like,
well,
whatever.
Because they programmed people for years, I mean, one of my favorite movies was The Day the Earth Stood Still. That was one of my favorites, especially when Keanu Reeves did it.
The remake one,
The remake one, I really liked it a lot. But I mean, so anyway, I have my opinion about space and aliens, and I think a lot of people know that. The shape of the Earth. I want to touch on that, but I also want to touch on, the atmosphere, the oceans, and what's going on. With the.
This is going to be like we should just call it the Jimmy and Lee variety show, because we're going to have variety. It's going to be everything.
Yeah, I want to touch on everything. I do.
We'll come on here dressed up some days and do a song and dance, and Jimmy plays guitar.
Like when you did that little skit, the little preview of me and you coming on, you said Jimmy's a flat earther. You threw that in there, right? Which I am. And some guy wrote, "Oh, please, not the flat earth." You know what I mean? Like, listen.
I like talking about it. Like I'm one of those people.
Listen. There's a saying, like, you shouldn't dismiss stuff, without examination. I mean, like, listen, man. There's. I studied it for years, and there's.
Well, you're never going to learn either. It's like right now, sometimes with this new woke world we live in. Before, if you don't agree or someone has a difference of opinion, you could sit down and have a nice debate. Hear your side, hear the other person's side, and have a discussion on why this person thinks that and why I think this way. But now, with the woke people, they'll shut you down, or even some cases when it comes to religion and shit, sadly, in other countries, if you don't think like these people, they actually go to fucking war over it rather than having a debate where people could come together and discuss their differences, because some countries that have been fighting over wars for hundreds, thousands of years, you need to stop and go, wait a minute, this ain't working. We've been doing this for 1,000 years fighting. Right. We need to find a different approach here. And sometimes maybe talking could be the approach.
Exactly. Like, look, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. That's my belief. You don't have to believe it, but I have my own personal relationship with God. But you don't have to go to church to believe in God. Like, I go to church sometimes, and I sit there and I listen to the preacher and saying his thing, and you got to get up. This is the Catholic Church. You got to stand up, and you got to sit down, and you got to get on your knees. And I'm saying, what the fuck am I doing? I got to stand up. I got to sit down. I got to get on my knees. I got to sit back down. I got to get up.
If it's the Catholic Church and you're getting on your knees, I know what's coming next, Jimmy.
Yeah, right. I got to go in there with an ass plug. So anyway, then all of a sudden the basket comes out, and they got these long sticks on that basket.
What about the ones now that have the credit card?
Oh, they do?
I've been to a church. I know it's shocking to some people. The last church I went in, they had a basket, but they also had an ATM thing, and people were scanning the card and putting the donation in, which they probably don't like, because then it could be. Well, they don't pay tax anyway, do they? So it doesn't matter.
No, they don't. So listen, and it's all connected to the Vatican, right? So that's like the head Catholic, Roman Catholic. Anyway, so I mean, listen, I like to touch on that. Because there's a lot of people out there who believe in God, Jesus, and they believe in Revelations and what's happening in the world today. A lot of stuff in Revelations talks about the things that are going on today. I believe that, and I can point some scriptures out that says it. And and people say, well, they talked in like a symbology, but some of it is undeniable. So I want to touch on that. I'd like to touch on the earth a little bit too. I want to do that. And then we talk about the training, and we have people on to talk about like you said, would you believe what happened? So I want to definitely do a variety of stuff, get people involved. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
And I think it's the best way, because we all, like I said, if we just harp on training and dieting, once we've told people exercises and diets, it's just you're going over the same stuff. Where with variety, we have a whole range of different topics. That way we don't know which way the show's going to go and what we're going to talk about each show.
Yeah.
Because some people have a show planned. This is what we're going to talk about. Okay, Jim and I are going to turn up. We might have the email on the confession. We might have the guests coming on, and we're going to sort of almost be like blind. And we just, like I said, I don't like things scripted. Even when I do interviews, people go, "Lee, would you like me to send you the questions ahead of time?" I'm like, no, I don't like that. I just want you to ask me when we're talking now. Just ask me the questions. I don't want to go.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't want to be like who do I look like?
Like Biden.
Damn it. Oh,
All this shit is like pre-written.
can't play charades with you, Jimmy.
I don't want to mention the president of the United States. I mean, some people do like him, so you know.
That's another show.
I'm not gonna, you know. But I do like to point out. I want to point out like what I feel that the direction of the administration is going. You know what I mean? And there's probably a lot of people that feel the same way out there.
Hold on. Here's another one. Who am I? Who am I, Jimmy? Hold on. Who am I? This is another one. You should get this.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. What are you gonna
do? Hold on. Jimmy, this show is going to do.
Who is that? Lee, you are crazy, man. That's Biden.
Mitch
oh, yeah, that happened to him the other night. Yeah, I heard he froze on the stage. And they had it
like 19 seconds. He was just talking. He's like, yeah.
I wonder
if like he's having a stroke, sadly. And that's another thing we've got to touch on. These politicians who are over 80 and they're losing their marbles, they shouldn't be in, retired.
It's crazy.
But that's another show. But Jimmy, I think we've been Zid's play like Lee, wrap it up. So we'll wrap up this show, our first show. This was like we've been on for almost an hour 20, I think.
Really? No.
Yeah, we came on about past, didn't we? A bit over an hour.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, see, time flies when you're having fun, Jimmy. So, like I said,
listen,
this was look. People are going to love this show. It's like I tell you, so look, they're just going crazy already. I tell you, Jimmy.
You know, Lee, I think you're reincarnated from the Roman days. You were probably Nero at one time in your life.
Playing my fiddle when the city burnt.
When you come out on the balcony, everybody's cheering for Nero.
Why is it some days I feel more like Caesar with the fucking knives in my back, Jimmy?
Talk about fucked up times, bro. Back then, forget about it, you know. We might be going into those times again. Who knows?
Okay.
The way things are going.
Thanks for coming on, Jimmy. It's good chatting. Now, this show is, like I said, this is the pilot show where we're just giving a rundown of what's going to be on.
Yeah.
People, if you made it through this one, we want interaction, lots of interaction with the people watching, stories. Look, Dave will be proud of us, Jimmy. We got through this one pretty good.
Either two things are going to happen. I'm going to call David. He's going to answer. He's going to say what he thinks, or he's not going to answer.
The people.
You know, the other day when I called him, and you guys were on Iron Rage, and I called in. I didn't know he was on the fucking show. So when I called him up, because I called him in the morning. You know, because sometimes I would just want to see how he's feeling. I mean, I'm friends with the guy fucking 35 years. You know what I mean? So I call him in the morning and he don't answer. I'm like, all right, maybe he's busy. You know, I know he's got all the snakes he's got to feed him. You know, so he's got a lot of shit going on, and the kids and everything. So but then the whole day passed. I'm like, oh fuck. I said, you can't call me back or send me a text. So I called again, and when he answered, I was like, yo, are you mad at me or something? Because you're on the show. And I was like, oh yeah, son of a bitch. But yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jimmy. Like, hopefully Jimmy and I will be back. Dave will think, yes, he'll give us our approval to continue on.
Oh, you know, and also too, you know, Lee, now that I'm a little more mobile on our show, you know, I could do the show anywhere. So I was thinking about maybe one day going into the gym, and while we're on the show, I could show different things in the gym that I've done in the past and share that actually in the gym. You know what I mean?
We'll go. I'll do it. You can be at the gym. And while you're at the gym, I'll be at McDonald's. You know, we'll have the yin and yang.
Then, yeah, my friend owns a strip bar. I can actually do the show from the strip bar.
Wow. Beautiful. Get some guests on.
I could do it right next to the stage, you know.
Yeah. And if we do that show, we'll have to set up a GoFundMe. Please send in the dollars for the girls working hard. They have family.
Oh, the other thing too, if we do it on Friday night, I could sit here with a bottle of wine. I could drink on the show because that's when I have my cocktails.
Who knows what could happen? Be like, welcome to the Jimmy and Lee show. Lee, where are you? What's that, Jimmy? What's that?
It is Friday night. You know what I mean?
Only joking. But thank you, Jimmy, coming on. I think this is going to be a good show. And like I said, people, send in your questions, send in your stories.
Just the beginning,
well,
man.
even when this goes on the YouTube station, even the people in the comment section, write stuff in there. But then, like I said, we'll get a proper page where you can send in anonymously. Maybe we might have to start the Jimmy and Lee Instagram page, or maybe on the Instagram page on the RX one, if they send their private thing there. But Sid will work it all out. Won't you, Sid? Yes, he's nodding his head right now. Fucking hell, more work to do, he's thinking. Yeah, but we'll get it all set up so we can read everything out that you just want to hear and talk about.
And I tell you, if I ever make any money and we're still doing the show, I could travel. I could go to fans' houses or their business.
You might even come to Australia.
Might even come to Australia, do the show from Australia.
Well, in October, I'm going to be in New Jersey, so Jimmy and Lee will be doing it live together from the same place.
Yeah, because you're coming out here in October, right?
Yeah.
You're going to stay here a couple of days,
I'm going to stay a few days with Jimmy, so we'll have to work out a good location, Jimmy.
So I joined the new gym today, because it's close to my job. I figured like
the pro gym one.
Yeah, the Pro Fit. So I talked to Alex, the owner. She's a very nice girl, and I said, Lee's coming out in October. I says I'd like to bring him down here if you don't mind. It's just we could do a little training and meet some of the people.
Did she say Lee who? Lee Labrada? Lee Haynes?
No. She knew who you were. So she's like, that'd be fantastic, So I said, yeah. I said, if we have time, I says, I'll bring him down. We'll do a little workout, or we'll just hang out. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Even if we don't work out, we'll come down for a protein drink.
Yeah, we'll come down for a protein drink. Yeah. We'll throw some vodka in it. And you gotta live a little bit too, man. You can't be a stickler. What's the worst that could happen? Hopefully, nobody calls the cops on us.
Okay, Jimmy. Well, thank you. It was good chatting. Thank you, people, for watching the Jimmy and Lee variety show, or whatever we're going to end up calling it. We haven't really got a prop. It is another thing. Maybe in the comments, if you can think of a good name for our show, and maybe the person who comes up with the winning name we'll have on as a guest and ask them, how did you come up with that great all fucked up name?
I was thinking call it the Nut House, but we'll leave it up to the fans too. Mm-hmm. Maybe Sid could come up with something good too. We'll see what happens.
The Insane Asylum or something. Yep, Jimmy got a call. I
got a call. Yeah.
Okay, Jimmy. Well, I love you, brother. Good chatting.
I love you too, man. All right, Lee.
And our listeners and people watching, thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, see you next week.